Welcome to Friday night's video in our second Masters series. This is the 33rd video in our second Masters series and the last video on level meters. Basically, I wanted to just have some final words about the level meters because some people will kind of misconstrue the use of them and don't use them a lot. Now, when you're doing processing and you're doing editing and things like that, the better you get as an engineer, the better you will be able to see things happening that are caused. Because as you really keep your level meter open, that when you do things, that it cause an effect that the level meter will show. Sometimes you'll do certain things that it's not going to give you a whole lot of information, and in some situations it give you a lot of information. Now, when you're mixing subgroups, you're mixing individual tracks, or you're doing the main mix itself, doing gain staging, the level meter is going to be of utmost importance to you because of the simple information it gives and the complex information it gives. A simple example is that, mixing issues are going to show themselves. If you're looking at your other meters and you've got your level meter open at the same time, that you're going to see drops sometimes, dropouts and things like that, spikes, things like that are happening, or medians dropping down too far or going up too far, dynamic things happening at some certain area that are too much, where, in a very short period of time, that they might just be too much dynamics happening for some certain application. And in gain staging, they're invaluable. You have setting an upper threshold. You're setting an upper threshold, then you are making a decision of how much dynamics that track can have in that section, because we talked about every moment in time is of utmost importance, and every section in a production can be its own mix, that, it can have its own given amount of dynamics that are acceptable, so that when you start mixing things underneath that certain things stay on top, whereas certain things stay underneath. And as you mix things underneath, that you're going to have layers that you don't want, convoluting each other and coming above each other, that you've got something on top with so much dynamic range, something up underneath it that maybe have less dynamic range, something underneath that has less dynamic range, or these two have the same amount of dynamic range, maybe under the vocals, but panned off right and left, but they're staying on top of what's underneath them, and their dynamic range there is staying inside of a certain area. And the medians can really help you see a median that's moving slower. If you looked at the meter itself, that you were seeing dynamics, fluctuating between 4 dB, and the median was showing that only a fluctuation between like 2 dB. So you see a smaller area that sometimes is a little bit easier to visualize the differences, where the dynamics might be happening like this, but fluctuating between 4 dB, and you're seeing a median that's showing you about between 1 and 2 dB is fluctuating over this chorus section, or over this part of the chorus section, or over this part of the bridge, or something like that, that's going to be acceptable, that's going to cause you to make decisions that you're really going to be able to visualize easily with the level meter to help put up flags across your timeline, trying to make sure every moment in time is taken care of, so that you can adjust things, you can do automation, you can rework processing, you can redo compression, or on and on and on, to make your decisions up until the final stage. And even in mastering, that you keeping an eye on how much dynamics you're going to allow in the production, what's your maximum levels, any clipping, maximum dynamics that you're going to allow in certain sections of the production, because that can be different. In some sections, you're going to allow more dynamics than in other sections, and it's going to show itself really obvious, and a median there that's going to drop or raise depending on, you've got different sections of the song. Some of the sections are going to be louder or quieter than other sections to really have a good production. Some productions have more dynamic difference between sections than other type of productions. So it's a difference between like a in your face pop production in a classical song. Where a classical song in different sections, you have all multitudes of ranges of dynamic differences. Where in a pop song, you got two dynamic ranges. Here's the intro, bum, bum, bum. It's a man in this dynamic range. And then, you got the hook, bum, 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 bum. And then it's back to that level. And you've got two levels in this, in your face pop song. And their dynamic fluctuations, you allow those two different levels between the different sections. On and on and on. And you becoming that next level master audio engineer is going to really depend on you pulling out your level meter, using it all the time, and really getting used to seeing where these levels should be in these different sections or at these different moments, and making good decisions as you evolve as a better engineer. And you artistically, and there's this mathematical concept of audio engineer, and then there's the artistic aspect of being an audio engineer, and how much that you're able to intercorrelate those to becoming, to getting the job done, whether you're working for somebody else or producing your own stuff. And those level meters are going to help you immensely, so that as you learn to listen better and hear those things, you're able to see that. And when you're not hearing it as well, you'll definitely be able to visualize it, what the dynamic fluctuation is, or what the max level is there, what the median is there, and really start to formulate what is acceptable to you as the type of audio engineer that you are trying to become, with the preferences that are part of your product. So, because like I try to say 1,000 times, that if you take 100 top-notch audio engineers, that you might get a different product, because they make different decisions about all kinds of things that happen in production that are going to make the production different. So it's really hard for you to base your ability of becoming that great next 101st great mixing, mastering, whatever engineer, because you're probably not exactly like any of them and are going to do it a little bit differently. And that level meter is going to really help you make better informed decisions to better target your norms that you go by to make a good product, and that will evolve and become better, targeted and laid out as you become a better engineer. So I hope that you enjoyed this short series on level meters, and I pointed it out that, the importance of them, and that, in my humble opinion, with most people, that the level meter being really useful to them, what it does normally is pretty easy to relate, and then it gets thrown out the window instead of them looking at it. And while they're listening, they're looking at the meter to see these things. So they start to see patterns happening, so that as they see these patterns, they're good to go. And when they see deviations from those patterns, or levels, or dynamic fluctuations, and how much is acceptable in certain situations, they catch it. Oh, I caught it. I can't know if I hear it exactly like that, but I sure caught it on the level meter. Then they become that next level master audio engineer, from really being able to target that and go, I got my meter out all the time, and I know I've got 1 dB of dynamic fluctuation happening in that situation, and that's what I need to. And I don't know if I can hear 1 dB of separation, or even 2 dB of separation that well, but I can sure see it on my level meter, and it sure made a difference when I started fine targeting what I was doing to stay within certain parameters as I was mixing and gain staging and compressing and whatever else I might be doing, to have my product come out sounding as good as possible the way I want it to come out, and being able to stay consistent, with my productions. So I really hope that made it really clear, and I certainly hope you get out your level meter and start working at being that next level master audio engineer, at utilizing those tools to help you get there. So peace, hope, love. I certainly hope you enjoyed this short segment on level meters, and I will see you in the next video.